folks. Hey, welcome back. You are listening to Racer Radio, FM 96.1 AM 1170.
The Answer.
I'm Dave.
And I'm Michelle.
And this segment is brought to you by El Cajon Ford, where nobody, absolutely nobody, takes better care of you than El Cajon Ford. They're big, big supporters of motorsports, and they are here to sponsor Barona Circle Track. Barona Circle Track, if it's been a while since you've been there, it has totally, totally changed. This track is so family-oriented, and you want to talk about fun, family fun, lawnmower racing, dwarf cars. Well, they've got it all. They've even got the big boys. They got the lightning sprints. But right now, we're going to talk to Chad Mathis. He hosted the Western State Dwarf Car Nationals up in my old neck of the woods, Petaluma, California. How you doing, Chad?
Great. Thanks for having me, Dave and Michelle.
Yeah, welcome back. We're glad to have you back to tell us all about how the weekend went up there at the Petaluma track.
You know, it went great, and actually went great for one of your local guys.
That's what we heard, yeah.
Yeah, he did super well on Friday. It was quite a tricky track. I say that because I would say, somewhat overwatered in turn 4 and down the straightaway. So even our little dwarf cars, as light as they are, they created some ruts and some shelves for us to drive through, and you had to keep your car either under that or above it. And Darren, he went out in his heat race, won his heat race. He was in the 4th heat race, so he started in 4th position for the main, and he took the win for the Pro Division on Friday night. It was awesome.
So for people that
great watching.
So for people that don't know anything about Petaluma, tell how big a track are we talking about?
It's a 3/8 track, and it's a Adobe.
Okay.
So it can be potentially very hooked up, and for Friday night, although it was hooked up and racy, it was quite challenging, I would say.
Well, your promoter, Brittany, number 37. 37. She asked me to ask you if the tides had anything to do with it. So being for the fact that I live up there, I know what she's talking about. But it didn't affect the track?
No, I mean, being that we're only a few miles away from the Petaluma Basin, so when the tides come in to the Petaluma River, it can affect the track. Both nights, the low tide was right around race time, so the tide did not affect as far as how wet the Adobe was. And also, I feel personally, racing there a lot, that the larger cars help bring that moisture out of the ground. And because it was only the 600s and the dwarf cars on Friday, I don't think that really was a factor in the track conditions.
Gotcha. So it's 3/8 mile and what is about all this food? I mean, you guys.
Oh man.
I know. I mean, Brittany was showing pictures. I mean, you'd think you were at a buffet someplace.
Oh well, we had about 200 chickens that were donated by a local poultry service, McCoy Poultry Service here in Petaluma.
Cool.
And my wife ended up, she cooked all that chicken, and we had my mother-in-law. She made a salad for Friday night, and we definitely had some good eats after some great racing.
So did your wife volunteer, or did you volunteer her? Because I know how racers are. See?
It was definitely a suggestion, but she was like, oh, no, I'm in.
Yeah.
She loves cooking. She loves it when she can make a good meal and everyone has a smile on their face.
I know.
Kind of, that lull in the in the crowd when everyone is just digging in and eating. She loves it.
I know. I bet. Yeah, I know the feeling. I love cooking myself, so I totally get it. So how long has that track been around?
Well, I believe we're in our 58th year of being open, and our club was actually in the local parade celebrating 58 years of excellent racing. The theme was Petaluma Puns. And so the track's been around for quite some time.
Wow, that's great.
It hasn't always been 3/8. I believe when it first opened, it was a smaller track, and they they extended it out,
Right.
made it a little larger.
Is it family? Is it a family owned and operated track?
Yes, Glad Enterprises, they run it. The grounds are still owned by the fairgrounds, and Glad Enterprises runs it, and who runs that is Rick Faith, and it's a full family operation. Him and his wife and his daughter, they run everything. I mean, Rick was down there on Thursday working the track. A lot of people from out of town, the Brona folks and people from Colorado, Oklahoma, were all, thanking him for the work that he was putting in to set it up for us. And then he was down there, obviously, Friday after the racing when we were eating and having a good old time.
Sure.
He was out there working the track, turned it over for Saturday night.
Well, that's a major compliment to you and your facility. I mean, when you got people coming from all over the place just to run a little 3/8 mile clay track, and I'm telling you, I mean, Brittany is your second best promoter. I mean, she has not stopped talking about and this is her first year of going out and just experiencing different racetracks, which I think is awesome. I mean, and she's having an absolute blast, and she just couldn't stop talking. I mean, that's why you're on today.
Yeah. We saw her on Thursday. She was a little tired from the traveling, but
Sure.
We went and walked the track and everything. She was like, "Wow, it doesn't look that wet." I was like, "Oh, just wait." And then Rick went out there and he worked it, and she was like, "Oh dear, what am I getting into?"
Yeah. By the way,
But,
if you ever need her to work extra,
Yeah.
bacon sandwiches. All you have to do is
She did
bring
the
out
bacon.
Just bring out those bacon sandwiches, and that girl will paint buildings. She'll build bleachers. As long as there's a bacon sandwich at the other end, she's golden. Am I right, Michelle?
Oh, yeah. 2 pounds of bacon every weekend
See?
if she's racing.
Yeah. So that's your insight.
She didn't share. I wonder if she did
Oh!
Oh, no sharing. That's terrible. So now let me ask you this: since you're you're the promoter now, do you drive anymore? Have you hung up the helmet, or what are you doing?
Oh no, I'm not. I'm just the local president of the
The club.
Redwood Dwarf Car Association. Yeah, the club.
Oh, okay.
So I did race. I ended up winning my heat race on Friday and started in second. I fell behind to fourth, and close to the end of the race, I want to say 3 laps to go. And a racer shouldn't say this, but I threw in the towel. I was exhausted. The late nights and prepping for the show, whatever. But I threw in the towel, and I told myself I have 4 or 5 spots that I can give up, and I can stay in the top 10 and transfer to the A main, and that's what I did. I gave up every spot I could and ended up 10th.
Well,
but hey, it's a transfer spot.
Well, and you're smart too. I mean, you know the limits of your of what you have, and I mean, and I'm sure if you would have pushed yourself beyond your tiredness, you could have hurt yourself and maybe somebody else as well. So I think that was a smart move on your part.
I could have made a mistake, definitely.
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt. Yeah, and equipment doesn't fix itself, and that all costs money. So, do you have any sponsors that sponsor your club?
The club, actually, we were lucky enough to get about 13 sponsors that really came through. And without the sponsors, we wouldn't have been able to give the awards and the payout and the plaques. We gave a total of 31 plaques.
Wow.
Well, awards, some of them were clocks and some of them were just plaques with what they earned. And then we had these metal light up lit trophies with for the first place, and a lot of this had to do with the sponsors and Lagunitas Brewing Company. They came through and provided us with all of the apparel for the race.
Really?
And normally apparel, that's a cost. That's
an
unknown return on investment. And Lagunitas, they came through and provided us with all the apparel. We were very appreciative of that.
Who else can you remember as a sponsor? Because if you don't get them all, you're going to have to call back next Sunday and do this all over again with a nice list. I could tell.
Really came through with Pit Stop USA and Velocity Racing Gear. they actually added on top of what they already were giving out to the drivers and everything. On Thursday night, they saw the flow of cars coming in and said, you know what, this is great. This is great for the local guys,
Sure.
great for the people traveling. So he came in and he added more to the pot, you know.
Wow.
And then we had dwarfworld.com, where you can go and get parts for your dwarf car and everything. They came through and provided not only a little bit of money, but some vouchers to
Sure.
the Fast Dash on Saturday. And then all the people that came through for the food. I mean, the food's a big expense, too. You have apparel and food that are the unknowns.
Yeah.
And Ron Quality Cut Meats, he's a local guy here in Petaluma, California, that he'll do wild game. That's what he specializes in. He butchered all the meat for Friday and Saturday.
Wow.
And the meat was provided, the chicken from McCoy Poultry Services, and then the pork on Saturday was provided by Ashadina Cheese Company, and they're out there in Shalana Valley, which is very, it's part of Petaluma, the greater part of Petaluma.
Right.
Windsor Fabrication, they made metal and provided the top three, first place trophies, the ones that lit up and everything. They did all the metal work on that. And Izzy's Performance Injectors, White Racing Shocks, Action Capture Images provided a bunch of pictures, and so did Steve Elliott, Digital Design. And then we had Action Rents. We added a couple lights inside the pits areas to make sure everything was lit and no one had any problems with maneuvering their cars.
Sure.
And we had 69 cars on Friday and 70 cars on Saturday.
Wow.
And that's just the dwarf cars. We had also the two classes, that one on Friday and one on Saturday. The 600s brought in 16 cars, and the spec sprints, they brought in 20.
Wow.
We had over 90 cars on Saturday.
Holy.
Still finished before 9:30.
Really?
Hats off to
Hats off.
the crew at Petaluma Speedway for being organized and being able to get us on the track. We probably had half a lap to maybe 1 lap total on each class in order for the booth to line everyone up, and then we went green.
Man.
It was great.
That is. So what's the website?
Well, Petaluma Speedway is petaluma-speedway.com.
And your club?
And the club is rwdca.com.
All right. Well, hopefully we'll get some more drivers, because we're working with some local tracks here, and I think Brittany's in the process of getting these tracks to all start kind of traveling around a little bit. And as much as she talks about Petaluma, I got a sneaky feeling she's going to help you put some more cars on the track, and that'll equate to butts in the seat. Thank you very much, Chad. It sure was great talking to you. And we will definitely talk to you down the road. Michelle, say goodbye.
Thank you very much. Good to hear that the race community is so supportive of people who come from out of town. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it was great to see everyone. And thanks you, Dave and Michelle, for having me on.
Hey, it's our pleasure. And anytime you feel like chatting, we're always here.
Okay.
All right, buddy. All right, we're going to take a quick break, folks. This is Racer Radio. I'm Dave. She's Michelle. This is FM 96.1 AM 1170.
The Answer.
Just sing a song and bring the sunny weather. Happy trails to you till we meet again. Some trails are
Racer Radio on AM 1170 The Answer is sponsored by Love Radio Network.